Hi. So I thought I'd share a little technique with you for anyone who's interested. So this is something that will make improvisation sound more rich or full, get some texture. So make something sound fast without really using too many brain cells to achieve it. So this is from Fantasie Impromptu. What he does in uh, this composition is he pairs sixteenths, so taka 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 taka, with triplets. So taka ta taka ta taka ta taka ta. So you've got taka ta taka ta taka ta taka ta playing with taka 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 at the same time. I can't do that with my mouth, so I'll just show you what with a couple of first bars sound like. So right, that's it. That's all I can remember. sorry, sorry to disappoint. So, but faster it sounds like right. So it's very rich and full and more complex than what you'd get with using solely sixteenths or only triplets. So it's great, and because both triplets and sixteenths are pretty intuitive, and once you lay that kind of if you play that piece or some other way, you've kind of laid that in hardwire that up in here, then it shouldn't be very difficult to kind of learn something new or experiment with that rhythm outside of a composition. Now, the problem really in using that in itself is it's quite difficult to just spawn sixteenths, that make any sense. It's very difficult. It's I don't know if it's possible. I'm sure it is possible, but because usually what they do in these compositions is they hide some very harmonically significant notes into those sixteenths. It's probably possible to simplify the sort of usual logic behind it, but it's beyond me. Let's put it that way. And so, well, you might be able to do chromatics, so you have a chromatic scale that you pair with something on the left hand. I'll use a different key for this example, but so okay, so you have this on your left hand, or just that's good enough. It doesn't sound good, at least in unless you just use it a bit. So it's like that's just an example. Now, but there's something happens in that in Fantasy Impromptu where he's arpeggiated a melody, a chord that plays a melody, and use that as the sixteenths that run on the right hand. So what that means in practice is that you have a melody. So say this. Actually, it's easier to use equal lengths for the notes for this example. But okay, so say that just pops into your head, right? Um, I'm gonna go into how that happens, but say you have that popped into your head. Now, once you've got that there, what you could do with that is nah, did a bit differently, but you get the point, and you've got something that plays like that. Oh, something very similar. Now with those chords, you can arpeggiate it so that it becomes a sixteenth. So and that's an okay way to arpeggiate, I suppose, but a better way, right, in terms of carrying a melody, would be to first play the octave and then the two notes in between. So, right? So now every chord would be arpeggiated in that same exact way. Oops. Now you just add triplets to the left, and that can be anything. In Fantasie Impromptu, it's rather simple. Move to different places and arrange differently for the appropriate harmonic context you want to lay down for the melody. But it can be anything. It can be right. It could be. I don't even know, but you get my point. Whatever your hand does the best without much effort, thinking wise, that is. And then you just combine it. Might take some time to get used to this and become kind of fluent in this way of manifesting your whatever melody or some more generalized idea or general idea you have in your head that you're trying to kind of bring forth. So I'll just play the almost the same melody. let's try to figure this out now. Few caveats. I'm not like an expert or anything, so take all this with a pinch of salt. It's not some sort of master or teacher or anything like that. You can you can hear that as well. Also, I know I was a bit reluctant to do this though, because you might just hear it in everything I do. It's a bit disappointing, isn't it? It's basically what you've done is taken a simple idea, and that's all you're thinking. You're thinking of the simple idea. You aren't thinking, oh, sixteenths paired with triplets. Or yeah, so what you're thinking basically at the moment is melody, chords, right? Sometimes you don't even think those. Sometimes they just you just let them happen, and it's basically muscle memory, I guess. This is just something I found useful when I've been experimenting. This is just something I've been enjoying, you could say. and it's one of the safer places to go, right? So, say you're improvising and you run into a bit of a oh no moment, like it's really, you're suffering. You're nervous. You become nervous. Then you want like a little safe burrow you can slip into, um, with very sort of little notice, and that's one of them. That's one of them. There are easier burrows to slip in as well, but they might sound slightly more contrived as well. Like, oh, you know, I saw what happened there, right? It's like spell broken or something. It's not good. It's not good. I have a lot of similar examples of taking an idea or something that's happening in a piece you might have played, often very famous pieces. So Fantasie Impromptu, for example, is very just ubiquitous, and other ones, including like some of the etudes, a lot of list, right? So you could just take a pattern that's been used and there's a fancy word for it, but abstract that pattern and generalize it. So you take a pattern and you just move it across. It's the same thing when you compose and you have a motive. So what I did there, for example, right, I had, right, and you just move it up, and that's how you just, that's how you can construct a melody. Now you need a bit more than that as well, for it to work, but those are the building blocks. And similarly, for improvisation, you don't really want to be thinking about the individual notes because you just don't have time. You don't have that speed. And if you can be really present and not nervous and concentrated and just enjoying it, then it might work, and then it will work and happen. That's great, but that's not most of the time, especially if you're trying to demo or something. But yeah, thought I'd show this thing, and I'll be posting another improvisation video soon.